Take the journey into the unknown with SNX Radio as we delve into the enigmatic world of UFO sightings and extraterrestrial abductions. Join us for conversations with leading experts and individuals who have encountered these otherworldly beings, uncovering secrets about their experiences, contact stories, and the profound implications for humanity. Listen as we reveal the incredible narratives of those who have undergone alien abductions, shedding light on the psychological and spiritual impacts of these encounters. Explore the depths of consciousness and spirituality as we discuss how these experiences may connect us to something greater beyond our understanding.
Lights in the sky flashing bright.
Take the journey.
ColeyUFO taking flight outside from the stars above, beaming down that glow. Alien party, everybody know. Heart beating fast, feel the energy rise. Hands in the air, reach up to the skies. No gravity here, we're floating free. Coley, Coley, come dance with me. ColeyUFO, bring me up, lights go up, turn it up, dance on the stars, feel the cosmic drop. ColeyUFO, we never gonna stop. Beam me up, UFO vibes all night. Coley, shining extra bright. Top 10 hit, we're trending worldwide. ColeyUFO, take me for a ride. Extraterrestrial groove moving through the crowd. Bass hitting hard, making aliens proud. Abduction on the floor, but it's all in fun. Coley leading, yeah, she's the one. Pulse in the beat, feel the spaceship hum. Glow sticks waving, everybody come. Intergalactic rave, no time to sleep. ColeyUFO, secrets we keep. ColeyUFO, beam me up, lights go up, turn it up, dance on the stars, feel the cosmic drop. ColeyUFO, we never gonna stop. Beam me up, UFO vibes all night. Coley, shining extra bright. Shining 10 hit, we're trending worldwide. ColeyUFO, take me for a ride. Slow, build flow, whisper, ColeyUFO. Drop, boom, lasers, bass explosion. Everybody jump, 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 beam me higher. ColeyUFO, beam me up, lights go up, turn it up, ColeyUFO, forever in the skies, top 10 dance, we're going far. ColeyUFO.
Dial spinning past midnight. Static sparks on the chrome. Name lights up on the backlit glass. Coley calling you home. Signal in the sky, little blip on the black. Every meter in my mind, redlining on the track. I can feel that home in the bones, in the glow. Every beat says run, but the rhythm says go. Are you ready for the lift off? Are you ready for the spin? When the unknown pulls you closer, do you find a dive right in? ColeyUFO, SNX Radio. Take the journey into the unknown. Turn it Numbers race the clock, neon blur in my eyes. Every corner that we cut draws a map in the night. I don't need a map, I just follow the tone. Every switch, every flick is a door to the zone. Are you ready for the drop now? Are you ready for the spin? When the night cracks wide open, let the strange light pour in. ColeyUFO. We're chasing shadows, never alone. ColeyUFO, SNX Radio. Feel the future under your skin. Every heartbeat out on the floor is a countdown. Hey baby, tune in. Close your eyes, let it scan you. Every thought, every code, every scar. We're tuned to the same strange channel. Every heart like a distant star. Hey, so run with me through the glitch and the glow, where the dial never finds the end. If we're lost on this wild transmission, then get lost with me again.
Together we explore it, night after night.
Together we explore it, night after night. Disclosure, non-stop. It's ColeyUFO, lead the way. Different views, here to stay. James Dillon and Orbs, peaceful contact shine.
Daryl W. Sims, implants cross the line.
Stephen Mayer, Rush Braggs, weave it all tight.
Seth breed love, cryptids in sight.
David Spinks energy, bold and deep.
Pink Bella Aloha, healing love's leap.
Bigfoot, Michigan, Rob Howell's footprints clear.
Patrick Cross channels, messages near.
Dark Skinner Films, gateway, disclosure pure.
Wonder Bob retreats.
Consciousness sure. Peak in a dream. It's an X. Truth drop. Truth drop. Disclosure. Magic. Non-stop. And ColeyUFO lead the way. Yes, unite. Night and day.
Take the journey into the unknown with
Truth drop. Let's go. Hands up high. Feel the flow.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of SNX Radio. I'm Coley, also known as ColeyUFO, and I want to say hello to everybody in chat. It's so nice to see everybody. I've got a really exciting guest that I'm absolutely cannot wait to introduce to you. Kitty Catty Wax in the house. Hey, girl, so nice to see you always. Bigfoot Dwarf. Hey, so nice to see you. Roger Blair. Hey, Roger. So nice. Glad you could make it. Kurt W75 in the house. And Kurt's going to be doing more Friday shows. So stay tuned for that. That's absolutely awesome. I know I'm missing somebody here. Oh, Whispering Portals. Hi, Laura. How are you? Hope all is well. Hope everybody. Hey, Walter. Thanks. Hey, Walter. I read your message earlier. That was super cool. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. Benno from Oz is here. Benno's in the house. Love it. And yeah, I think I got everybody. If I did not get you, I know people will be popping in here, but I just wanted to, say hello. And after our last show, it was like a really bonding show. So I absolutely love all you guys. So just so you all know, it's been an amazing ride, and it couldn't be done without you. So I have a great guest. If you watch MK, and hi Maya. Maya Starfire is going to be on Mondays. So she's going to be working the chat, making sure the chat's questions get answered and all of that, and asking her own. So she's going to be sitting up here with me. And Bigfoot Michigan Rob, if you guys have not subscribed to him, get over to Rob's channel and subscribe. He's amazing. And Midnight Night Watchers, they're amazing too. Definitely get over there and subscribe to them also. Yes, so it's great seeing everybody come in. You guys came in for a great show tonight. We have, like I said, if you were over on MK Invasion a couple weeks ago, you would have seen my guest. But yeah, he's absolutely, I just got talking, and as an experiencer, you guys know I get super excited about it. I really connected with them, and I was like, would you want to come on and tell your story? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. So a little bit of a background on Michael James Walker. He's a permanent UFO paranormal experiencer, researcher, and advocate whose lifelong engagement with the phenomenon began with a documented case encounter in 1985, MUFON Case 122240. This transformative event involving a dramatic aerial display and visions, including reoccurring onboard experiences. Oh, yes, I get that. And biologically inspired imagery. So, I'm going to let Michael, because he's got such a great story. I mean, it's like his testimony, and bring him on. So I don't like to go too far into it. But without further ado, let's welcome Michael to the stage. Welcome to the show, Michael. Welcome to SNX Radio. We love to have you here. So I kind of went into it. I was reading your MUFON case number, and I was like, it took me back. I was like, oh gosh, I remember. I almost looked to see when mine was, but yeah, that's kind of it's a big marker, though. It was a big marker for me anyway. But yeah, so why don't you tell everybody who you are, what you do, and why you do it?
Okay, yeah. MUFON Case 12240.
I know, right?
I have that angel number in there, 222. So
I felt like, I was like, I don't want to be too dramatic, but when I was reading it, it was like, man, I felt like I should have had mine tattooed somewhere on me or something. It's just like, it's this weird file that you expect to be, I don't even know.
It took me a long time to even, report that to MUFON. I just have major trust issues, you can understand.
Oh yeah. Welcome.
But I'm so excited. Thank you for having me, Coley. I appreciate it so much. It's so therapeutic for me to, discuss this crazy experience that I had back in '85. As many shows as I've done a lot of these shows, and I'm just so excited tonight because there's quite a few of my friends that are watching that absolutely have no idea of what my story is still to this day.
So you're coming out of the cosmic closet then.
Right. Yeah. I'm pumped up because it's kind of a hard to follow story. I mean, it took me a long time to figure it out. Right. So how am I going to expect somebody to just figure it out in one conversation with me about it?
It's impossible. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I know. And it's not easy to tell, though. It's not easy to tell. I remember when I first had to digest it, and then I was like, what do I do with this? It's like, and then it got to a point now. There's still people in the community that laugh about it, make fun of it. I'm like, I don't care what you think. Like, if you think, if it has not stopped me by now, if I'm that passionate about it, like if you know me well enough, you'll know I can't talk about something that's not real, especially repetitively. Like there's no way my brain doesn't even have the ability to do so.
That's so yeah. I'm not relaxed if I've got to make stuff up. You know what I mean?
Right. And on top of it, it's like if you're a sane individual, do you really is a sane individual out there making this up? Because I don't think that's even the case. So,
Now, I'm my
you know,
biggest skeptic. Yeah, it takes a lot. I had such a dramatic experience when I was young that to this day, it really takes a lot for me to like be on board 100%. Um, Even when I hear other people that I respect, other experiencers about their experiences, if I wasn't there, Coley, it's tough. And I've experienced some,
yeah.
really outstanding things. And when I hear some of these outstanding things, it's even hard for me to be 100% on board because I wasn't there. So you just reach a
I
point
tell
where
people the same thing. I'm like, I can only tell you what I've experienced. Can I tell you, whether I felt their emotion or their impact? But I can't tell you if that. I can only tell you what I saw. I'm with you on that. I really am.
yeah,
I said that's their story to tell. I don't know either way. I did not. It's just it didn't happen to me. But I can
yeah.
go into. But so I hear that. That's great that you do that though, because that stops a lot of the rumor mill from like just perpetuating. I think forward.
It's just exciting because I know it's real. This phenomenon is real, and I can't wait to share what I've got for you here. This all started, back in 1985. I was 12 years old, and it was in Hayward, California. I was living on East 11th Street in South Hayward. I was living at 28063 East 11th Street. I was living with the Lopez family. It was a family that took us in. We were kind of homeless at the moment, and they just kind of took us in. They were neighbors of ours across the street when we did have our own house, but eventually we had to sell it, and we had nowhere to go. So they kind of took us in, the Lopez family. That was Bob, Ellie, Mike, Greg, and Lopez, Robert Lopez. They took us in, and I remember just graduating from Bowman Elementary School. I was excited, looking forward to going into junior high school, but I still had a whole summer ahead of me. So it was time to go on my nightly adventures. I'd always take off, and, my mom was a bartender growing up, so I never really had a curfew or anything. So here I go. Yeah. I remember walking out the door one day. It had actually just turned. It was probably about 7:30, and it was probably about July, and it was just starting to get dark. And I walked out that door, and I bumped into a friend named Chano of mine. And it's weird. We met in the middle of the street, and there wasn't much conversation involved. There was just kind of like an understanding that it's time to go for a walk around the block. I'm sitting here from an advantage of, being 52 years old and studying the phenomenon for so many years. I could tell you there was something weird about that moment that I met up with my friend Chano. I could tell you that then, but when I was 12, nothing really seemed out of the ordinary. We just began to start our walk around the block. And before we really got to the very first hairpin turn of the block, I was noticing how pretty the sky was. I mean, this whole thing didn't start with a UFO directly over my head. It started with a beautiful sky. The clouds were low, and they were really pretty and white. And I understand, even at 12 years old, that the clouds were low, so they appeared to be cooking pretty fast. And I understood that they were really beautifully white because there was probably a moon involved lighting them up, so there was nothing out of the ordinary. But all of a sudden, Coley, a section of those clouds began to swirl. Okay. And we're coming across the most confusing part of my experience. It's the clouds. The clouds really threw me for a loop because they began to swirl. And I was watching the beginning of your show. The intro was awesome, and there was a couple things on there that actually triggered me. There was the whole vortex thing, right? And it did remind me a lot of like a hypnotic swirl. And so, so that's what captured my attention. And then I think it captured my consciousness as well.
Isn't it crazy? I do it with like the clock when you see it, the clock, and then reversing,
and
and
then
then
there's like a
the
part where
things
there's
and
someone holding up a hand,
yeah.
and they've got the whole I was like, man,
Oh yeah.
she is experiencer all over the place here with the
Oh
rabbit
yeah,
holes.
you can tell. There's certain things like that. That's what I
The
love
rabbit
about
holes
other
too, you know.
experiences. Yeah,
Experiencers
you
fall
get
down
those
them damn
things.
rabbit holes, man. I'm telling you. So
Love it. I love it. And that's so funny you picked up on it, but that's cool. I'm like, I was like, oh gosh, we bonded after the last show. So that's awesome that you caught that.
that's how they captured me. You know, it wasn't some, you know, there's this huge conception of when you talk about, you know, an alien abduction, you know, people picture you getting sucked up into this tractor beam, you know, woo, 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 woo. And you're like, oh my God, I'm in the tractor beam, you know, oh, I'm in the ship. Now I'm being laid out on a cold metal table and they're probing me. Oh no, you know, there's so many movies and, you know, we're pre-programmed and desensitized and blah, blah, blah to think, you know, it's some fear-based, you know, horrible thing. It's very rare to find an experiencer that remembers. They're out there. I've talked to a couple, you know, but that actually remember being in like some kind of light, being lifted up into the ship. For me, it was a vortex in the clouds. It was a crisp, clean, calculated swirl. It was not a natural phenomenon. A lot of people, you know, they'll say, oh, was it like a funnel, like a tornado or something? And I'm like, this was Hayward, California. We don't have that kind of weather. And even if we did, I'm telling you, it was not a natural phenomenon of any kind of funnel or anything like that. It was a crisp, clean, technical, slow swirl in the clouds that got really big and really fast. And I blacked out. That's the key right there. That's one of the commonalities that I found within us experiencers. There's some blacking out that's involved. And that's what I did. I blacked out. And, you know, I'll say this, you know, I could have died right there and that would have been my last memory that I had. I know where I was standing. I know what I was doing. I know that I was still on East 11th Street. I know that I did not make that little hairpin turn yet to begin the walk around the block. I have not done that yet. So when I blacked out, my very next conscious moment, now get me, I am not there anymore. I'm a half a block around that hairpin turn, and I'm now facing north. I am not facing south. I am facing north, and I'm a half a block further around the corner. And now, my next thing I know, I open up my eyes, and my body is stiff like a soldier. It was like my arms were tucked to my side, and my head was propositioned up. It was positioned.
I know.
It was propositioned
like you do. Yeah.
I was propositioned.
Okay.
Yes. And,
I slaughter the English language. You're totally fine.
Right. You know, I'm a class clown, and you can see how hard it is for me to maybe convince some kids when I going into junior high what I experienced. Yeah.
No, I feel that pain. I feel it. I feel it.
I'm a bit of a clown, so you know what? I'm just going to be myself. It took me a while to learn to be myself. I thought talking about this, I would have to be serious. It's a serious subject, you know, but I'm going to try to be myself. You can't
change who you are. I know. I'm sure they weren't thrilled about getting me in the community either at a certain point, but you know, they picked me. I didn't pick them. So here we are. So yeah, I love it though. You don't have to be all stuffy, and you be yourself. Like, you know, we can all be ourselves in this. But yeah, that's awesome. Absolutely. I like that.
So I was frozen stiff, you know. That's another commonality that I found within experiencers is the paralyzation, right?
Oh yeah.
At the time, you know, at 12 years old, I was just thinking, oh, I don't want to miss a second of it. You know, I heard of these things before, and I know that they don't last very long. They'll probably take off. You know, I was like, I just didn't want to miss a second of it. I'm so excited. I wasn't afraid. You know, and there were some thoughts that I had that ran through my mind, but I was standing directly below a UFO. Let's get that out there. You know, let's spit it out. I blacked out from the swirling vortex in the clouds. And my next conscious moment, I'm East 10th Street facing north. I cannot move. I've got paralysis, and my head's even stuck straight up, but I'm looking at the belly of a flying saucer. And there's this blue light that's sporadically flashing on the bottom of the belly of this craft. And as it flashes, it does illuminate pockets of the belly, so I can get like a closer look of the ship. And yes, I did see tubular, like wires, like C-3PO's belly. It was like integral stuff. And I was like, what? And then, this blue light, it was just like sloppy. It felt sloppy to me. It was like not balanced. There was no particular order about it. And I don't know if it was it's the Libra in me where everything's got to be symmetrical and balanced all the time. But I thought, wow, if this is a UFO, which I'm clearly looking at, why does it seem that to have some electrical, problem? And as soon as I thought that, it snapped out of whatever electrical problem I was thinking it had. And it put on this beautiful, symmetrical, balanced, multicolored light show. And it started from the perimeter of the ship, and it would work its way to the core. It started off pretty slow, kind of like the vortex in the clouds. It started off really slow, and then it steadily just got faster and faster and faster. The lights would blink around the perimeter and move to the core, and then go counterclockwise, and then go clockwise, and then move back to the perimeter. And it just kept repeating these sequences over and over, faster and faster and faster, kind of like I like dating myself. So I'll mention things like Slinkies and Etch-a-Sketch and things like that. But it reminded me of that game, Simon Says. It's a little colored game where, boop, 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 boop. You press the buttons on which, the way the colors went. And it just depends on what level you get to. It gets faster and faster and faster. So, yeah, there was some thoughts that ran through my head when I'm sitting there stuck looking at this multicolored light show. Like there was an understanding. There was an understanding that they weren't going to hurt me. Now I know that they were done with me at this point. You know what I mean? They had taken me, a half a block away. And for some reason, I don't know if it's the aliens Murphy's Law, but they displaced me. I'm glad that they did, because it's another validation that it was more than just a sighting. I know they took me.
Absolutely.
It's a validation. They took me and they did not put me back in the same spot. So I appreciate that. And another thing that helps me is I did have somebody with me. But once you hang in there for a minute, you'll realize that it's not so easy. It's not as easy as you think. Just because you've had 1, 2, maybe even 10 people with you, it's not going to be like you think. And
no, it's not.
Yeah, it definitely threw me for another loop, because this ship, this UFO, the light show finally stopped. It probably went on maybe 1 minute of a multicolored, beautiful light show. I swear, I feel like there was colors within that spectrum that we don't even deal with. It was so pretty, all the different colors. It was just so beautiful. And I remember thinking to myself, how am I going to remember this? How am I going to remember this? I think that was a download, Coley, that the easiest way to transfer information into a biological subject is through light. And I hate to etch it in stone, but that could have very well been them more than showing off. I think it might have been a download for something that I'm using today during this great awakening, something that they were preparing me for my whole life, So this multicolored light show, it finally stopped. And when it stopped, the craft kind of glided ahead of me and my friend a little bit to where now I can see the ship entirely as a whole. I am no longer stuck, beneath it, just stuck looking up at the belly. Now I can see the whole craft. And it's just a saucer-shaped craft. There's nothing special about it. There's nothing special about it.
Right? It's just a UFO. No big deal. Right? I know. I hear you, though. I feel it.
Yeah. There was no, I joke about, the Jetsons. There was no glass bubble, on top with a person driving. It was just streamlined, pancake,
Yeah.
flying saucer, and it did a little bit of a wobble, just a slight little wobble before it took off near the speed of light. It moved so fast and so quiet that it was comical to me. It was like, I remember thinking that it was like I was watching a cartoon in real life. It was like a cartoon. It blew me away. It was
You
like,
can't even process it. It's like,
no, it
what
was
is
silly.
going on?
It was
Yeah,
silly.
yeah.
Forget about the vortex in the clouds. Forget about, me standing somewhere else now and witnessing this UFO put on a multicolored light show. The speed in which this craft left floored me. Absolutely floored me. There's no way I can just hurry up and tell you it took off fast. I have to sit here and talk about it with you, Coley, a little bit. The speed was so smooth. It was like it was sucked out of, like, if I would have
Like it
blinked
was,
it
yeah.
was just it was like, I used to describe it, and I stopped describing it like this. I don't know why. If you're in a dark room and you have a flashlight and you start off at point A and you want to move it across the room to point B with a flick of the wrist, that quick, that slick and quiet, gone. If I would have blinked my eyes, I would have thought that it had disappeared. But I saw it. I saw it go east over the Hayward Hills, and it was gone. So guess what? I was able to move as soon as it left. I was able to move. And the first thing I did was I looked to my left, because that was the last place my friend Chano was on my left, but we were facing south. This time we're facing north, but he was still to my left. And the first words out of my mouth, Coley, were, "That was a UFO, huh?" And my friend Chano, he goes, "Yeah." So that threw me for a whole nother shock on a whole nother level. I didn't understand why Chano wasn't so impressed. It was an uncomfortable rest of the walk around the block. That's another commonality that I found within experiencers, is there's a lot of long walk homes, a long, quiet drive
Long
home.
silence. Yeah, you better get
Yeah.
used to that awkwardness, silence. Like
Yeah.
I told you briefly before last show, I was with somebody, the neighbor, and when you said that you couldn't move, I thought it was maybe I'm like kind of, you just kind of triggered something in me, because I didn't move, and I don't think I could move if I wanted to, but I said there's nowhere to run and hide. That thing came from, it crept from 1 mile, and it came to 30 feet away and was 50 foot in diameter. And as soon as I kind of shifted, there was 2 trees, and why I even thought those were protecting us, I bet you was only maybe 15 to 18 feet above my head. I was on a hill, and I was just staring at it like, oh my God, and the neighbor, I could just hear her screaming, but I couldn't, like, I felt like I was locked into it, if that makes any sense.
Were you afraid a little bit? Was there any
Oh,
kind of-
yeah. God, I was
yes.
afraid. Yeah.
Okay. 'Cause I was just wondering.
Now I'm not, but in the beginning, oh hell yeah, I was like, what
Yeah.
is going on? I was shaking so bad, and I dropped the camera, and I just stood there. It took everything I had just to stay there, and there was nowhere to run though. I was like, man, unless we're digging graves, because we're right
Yeah,
out in an old cemetery, there's no place to hide here. None.
Yeah. They say fear is paralyzing, that's, but there was no fear. I wasn't afraid. And, reflecting on it now as an adult, I was like, why wasn't I running around like a 12-year-old and going, oh my God, Chano, look at this. What's going on? There was
Right.
nothing like that.
And
And-
so you're a little bit younger than I was. My first encounter, I grew up in the paranormal, but my first encounter was in 2017. This childhood experiencers and adult experiencers were different in many ways. I can't imagine what it would be like at 12 to hold this. I mean,
Well-
that's big, Michael. That's big.
And to find out that, that wasn't the first time, it took some research. But I found within the phenomenon that, they more than likely have been taking me a lot longer than earlier than that. So, which we can get into in a second. But I remember thinking, this is just a regular neighborhood. There's another misconception there, where everyone thinks that you have to go off into some mountaintop or some Area 51 desert to witness a UFO, or to go to Sedona where all the other vortexes are. I experienced the vortex in the clouds in South Hayward, California. It's just a regular neighborhood. And I remember thinking, oh boy, there's going to be neighbors that are going to be swinging off the balcony when this UFO leaves. And there was nothing like that. These ships can, they can like dictate who sees and experiences what. This is kids play to them. This is nothing. They can take somebody out of their bed in front of their loved one without their loved one even knowing. That's another commonality that I found within other experiencers is there's a vortex. I experienced it in the clouds. Some people experience it in the bedroom wall or the bedroom ceiling, like their body actually going through walls and ceilings, being particleized and departicleized and brought back together. I don't know what the science is behind it, but to them, they've already got it figured out. It's nothing. It's child's play. I mean, when you're talking about a being or an entity that can manipulate space and time, everything else is child's play. That's nothing. The whole neighborhood didn't see nothing. I don't know what Chano experienced. I never asked him the right questions. I just was trying to force a validation of, I was lucky to get a yes or no. Did we see a UFO? Chano, did we see a UFO? And he would, yeah, man, Mike, you're still talking about that? Like, yeah.
I know.
About that
Oh God, I know. It's almost painful for them to listen to at times. But when you experience something that big and it sits with you, what else are you supposed to do? There's like anybody who will listen, but they go running. It's like people go running. If you say, "Oh, there's like gone," I'm like, where's everybody at?
I don't know if it's we experienced way too much that's locked into our subconscious. I know that now. A lot of that experience was locked in my subconscious. So, a lot of people think that I'm going to have this, retainment of all these memories of being on board, being in the tractor beam, talking to the take me to your leader guy. And, I don't have any of that. I actually don't have any memory of seeing an actual being. I've had naturally surfaced memories where I'm on board the UFO, of course, and I feel like I'm being guided, but I can't see anybody. Somebody was showing off some of these rooms to me that I became really familiar with, but I don't know who this being was. I have some ideas, but I'm afraid to etch it in stone,
So did it look like, can you describe it? Did it look like maybe you or I, or did it more like us, or was it more ET? Or I guess when I say ET, the ones I experienced were tall grays, short grays, and ones that look more like you and I. So that's where my bias is coming in my questioning. But what did the ones that you saw look like?
I did not see any beings. That's the whole thing. I was not allowed to see any. I've had naturally surfaced memories that came about in some of these reoccurring dreams that I had, where I was like, oh my God, I'm on board the craft. I know where I was at. I was on board this UFO. So there's parts of the UFO that I became really familiar with. But, I haven't had, regression done, hypnosis regression or anything like that. Maybe someday in the future, that's something that I plan on doing. And maybe then I'll have some more answers. But until then, I just had a few dreams that I was like, wow, this has got to be a naturally surfaced memory, because I was on board a craft and I got really familiar with a couple of the rooms that were in there. But I became really jaded after, I just became embarrassed to even talk about it anymore. And it was much easier for me to just kind of fall back into the whole social programming and just kind of let the whole, quit trying to convince the world about my experiences. And I left it alone for a long, long time. I mean, it was always in the back of my mind, and I always used it whenever I've got, get depressed or something. I'd always reflect on that moment and just remember, well, at least, Michael, at least that there's more to life than just, morning, Ralph, morning, Sam,
Yeah. Clock, punching that clock day in and day out, right?
this is some of the questions that, the biggest questions we have, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, is there life after death? Are we all alone? Like, I kind of know the answers a little bit, and it's just really nice to reflect on those moments when life gets me, stressed out or whatever, But
It really is. So, I mean, how long were you able to stay out of it? I got out of it for a couple of years. I said I was never coming back, and I meant it at the time. But
I would say through junior high and high school, and maybe a little bit. I joined the Navy after I graduated, and I was in the Navy for a couple years. So I've got a lot of friends that tell me, Mike, I didn't know this about you. Why didn't you talk about it? And it's just something that I let go, and I just got jaded about it, and until I got to a point where I was like, no, this was more than a sighting. And even my wife, she knows that I've been with her a long time. I met her when she was 17, I was 19, and she's always known that I've had this UFO experience. But for me to go as far as to say that I was taken was obviously too much for her. I can tell it really broke my heart. I could tell it. I can look at her in her eyes, and it's just I could tell it. She thought that I just had enough time on my hands to make something like this up. And it was really hard for me, and
well, I mean, how do you digest it? I mean, how I'm trying to put myself in that position because I remember when my brother, like, he saw a UFO, like, two, and this is not even getting into the heart, the heavy stuff. And I remember him saying he's all worked up. He's like, "You're not gonna believe what I saw," and I was like, he's like, "I saw a UFO," and I was like, "That's cool, all right." Yeah, it wasn't that I didn't believe him. It was that I didn't know what that meant. I had no clue what that experience was like. It's not just like you see something. No, 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 no. Mm-mm. You come in like face to face with something is what I felt like.
after that UFO experience, I had some really weird dreams. And I called them dreams for a long time until I became brave enough to call them what I believe were actually visions, or even something that they were showing me on board the craft. From studying the phenomenon and talking to other experiencers, I realized that a lot of experiencers describe being sat in front of some kind of screen, and they're being shown apocalyptic events. This is what's going to happen to Earth if you keep on going the way you're going, blah, blah, blah. That whole thing, right? I don't know if that's where I got these things in my mind, because there was no point where I woke up and went, oh man, that was a crazy dream. These were visions, or they were shown to me on the craft to either gauge humanity, to gauge me, my emotions, to see where I was at. I don't know. But Coley, one of the things that I seen was a ring inside another ring. I'm not going to call it a wheel within a wheel, because I was 12 years old. I didn't know what the hell the wheel within the wheel was. I don't know what this thing was, but I thought I was dreaming. And it was a pretty neat, it was a ring that one ring would go this way. And then there was like another ring that was within that ring that was going the total opposite way. And it was hovering and floating above my old childhood home, which was across the street from the Lopez family. It was 28080 East 11th Street. It was my original little house that we had for a couple years before we sold it. It originally belonged to my grandpa Jack, that I love so much. But this wheel within the wheel was hovering and floating above my grandpa Jack's house, the peak of his house. And, this thing was kind of like a gunmetal, really ominous. And I didn't know what to make of it. There was that was one of the dreams that I had. And then I had some other dreams where I was a giant running from a crashing flood. And I see Stonehenge coming up ahead, and I jump up on the stones for safety. And I got up on them stones pretty easy. It took me a long time to realize why it was so easy for me to get onto the top of these 15-foot pillars. It was because I was a smaller giant. here I am having these visions of apocalyptic events. I'm talking about a crashing flood. We're all aware of the crashing flood of Noah, and there's different floods that you hear about in history, but everyone knows about the Noah's flood and the giants, the Nephilim. And I believe I was one of the smaller giants, one of the 12 to maybe 14-foot giants, but I was running from this crashing flood, and I jump up to the top of Stonehenge for safety. And another one of the dreams that I had was I was walking along a beach that was just completely filled with beached whales. Another apocalyptic, event that either I witnessed, on some screen on the craft, or it was some vision that I had. I don't remember waking up, like I said, and going, oh man, that was crazy. But reflecting on these dreams as an adult, I really felt that I had no business seeing these. And I really felt that there was something to it. There had to be something to it, because I was 12. I don't feel like I had any business witnessing, which later I would learn was the wheel within the wheel, Ezekiel's vision of God. A lot of people haven't heard of the angel hierarchy. I witnessed a biblically accurate angel. It was the Ophanim, the throne angel. It's the third highest ranking angel on the charts. The first highest ranking angel, of course, is the seraphim, the burning ones. And then you have the cherubim. And then you have the throne angels, which is the wheel within the wheel. So these are things that I looked into more. I had to look into it more because I knew there had to be something to it. And it was shows like, let's start with the movie called Contact with Jodie Foster. When that first came out, I remember seeing there was a device in that movie that's a wheel within the wheel. It's this device that she gets into to kind of punch a hole into the whole fabric of space-time to go back and visit her father that had passed away, and he's on the other side, and she'd end up talking to him on some beach somewhere when she would get into this wheel within the wheel. Well, anyway, that kind of triggered me, and then there were shows like Ancient Aliens where they were talking about Ezekiel's vision of God and what he experienced, the whole wheel within the wheel. So there's this argument in ufology that what Ezekiel experienced was indeed a UFO experience, but there's a lot of people that ain't ready for that conversation. How dare you mix UFOs and aliens with spirituality and religion? Some people ain't ready to hear about UFOs yet, let alone starting to mix them up. But for some reason, that's what's been put on my plate this time around. And, even, talking to other experiencers, they're like, hey, Michael, have you experienced anything else besides that UFO? And I would say, I've seen a ghost, or, what do they call it? Residual energy. I've seen, that before. And they're like, well, let's hear about it.
We all do. Do you know that?
Right. It's more than just the UFO. It seems like experiencers experience. They experience much more. It's like they have a lot on their plate or something.
Well, even I've talked to just a couple people who if they couldn't see spirits before, like Jeff Selver, and there's somebody else too. They said shortly after, or shortly before that opened up. And so every experiencer I know has seen spirits like that or communicated with them like that. I think it's just, those connections. I don't know, but every single one.
So there was a couple of years before 1985, so that would have made me 10 years old. I woke up in the middle of the night. This is not a dream. This is something very lucid. I was very awake. Something woke me up. This was still in Hayward, but it was a different neighborhood. It was near Sunset Adult School, which I believe. But anyway, I remember waking up in the middle of the night. Something woke me up. And I look on the floor next to my bed, and there's this 4-foot waitress. She's wearing 1950s waitress attire. She's got a plate full of, apparently it's my order because she's coming towards me. I don't know. But she's in a diner, like an old school male kiss my grits, like a 50s diner. Even at 10 years old, I knew what I was
like a Mel's diner.
Kiss my grits. Yeah. I love dating myself.
I got you.
But
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
no, you're not. Oh, stop it. So this waitress,
Like,
she was about 4 foot tall, and guess what? She was made up of complete static, like the static in your intro. The whole "Mommy, they're here." That old school television snow static. That's the media that in which this vision or whatever what I was shown was made. It did look similar to like a hologram kind of a deal. Coley, it was more than the waitress. It was the customers sitting on each side of her at the booth, eating their talking. It was a busy diner. I heard the forks and spoons. I heard
oh my
so
gosh, it
yes,
gives me
I
chills. I
heard
know what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah.
it came. They went all out on this. Look, I know now it was a screen memory. Okay,
Mhm.
they took me that night, but there was so many years where I thought I just chalked it up to, well, that just must have been a ghost, or residual energy. And
That
this,
when you said the glasses and the
I can
silverware, and
hear
I'm
the
just hearing the
silverware.
clanging,
I
yeah,
can hear the
nonstop. It's
multi
like,
conversations
wow,
of
yeah.
people talking, the mumbling.
Yes,
Where
yes.
there's so many people talking that I couldn't hear one
Wow.
particular conversation. It was
No.
mumbles. It was and
Yeah.
I can hear the forks hitting the plates. It was busy.
Oh,
They were
yeah.
chowing down. They were eating. And this waitress, she was coming towards me. And I looked at her eyes, and I swear if she was looking at me in my eyes, I would have flipped out. But she was more like looking through me. So
Mm.
I don't know. It scared me. It didn't scare the living daylights out of me, but I was concerned.
Like, what's
So
going on here? Yeah.
what I did was I called out to my
Why are
mom.
they? Yeah.
Yeah, I called out to my mom down the very short little hallway that we had. I said, "Mom, can I come sleep with you?" And I heard, I think it was my mom's voice. I don't know to this day. It could have very well been not her voice, but I heard what I thought was her saying, "Sure, honey, come on." And
Ooh.
yeah, so I remember thinking, okay, well, I got permission to go down the hallway to go jump in bed with my mom because I'm a little frightened here.
Heck yeah, I'd be running.
But the thing is, I'm going to have to get up off this bed and walk
Make it
through.
there.
And
Yeah.
I'm going to have to walk through this little vision that I'm seeing
Yeah.
here. And I wasn't sure about that. I knew
Okay,
that
so
was
did you ever think about it? You know how like when paranormal investigation you use EVPs, which are the white noise, and that's
right.
what I see. Like especially with the connection, like the TV when the hand came out at that girl in the intro, or
Yeah.
that it's like, what do you think that is? Do you think it's kind of like one and the same? Do you think it was I mean, I often wonder, are the paranormal and ET, are they just kind of like side by side here? Are
Oh
they
yeah, for
actually like
sure.
all one? Because that
I
right there
believe,
just struck like I was like, man, when you see things like that,
yeah,
it just reminds me of how they communicate verbally, like through the EVPs and stuff. It's like a
yeah.
visual
They
verbal.
do. I think they all share a real thin blue magnetic piece of the fabric of all this. I think that they share a little line of it. I think UFOs, aliens, ghosts, and like you were saying about EVPs, and how it runs in the family. I've got an EVP of my dad after he passed, and we had talked about it on his deathbed, and he promised me that he would let me know
Oh,
once he
cool.
got to the other side. But he was a comical kind of guy, and he told me, "I'll do whatever's most convenient, son." And sure enough, he did what was most convenient. He gave me an EVP, and I'm a biggest fan of Ghost Adventures. I love the orbs, the EVPs that they get, and thinking about it, my dad told me that he was going to do what was most convenient. And so he is telling me that that is the most convenient way for them on the other side to communicate with us is through electronic voice phenomenon. And
This is mine. I carry it up with me. Like
Oh
it's
my
always
gosh.
around me. I had to reach
Nice.
down and grab it. I'm like it's with the Portal Wonder box from Stephen Huff, but it's the one that I can get back and forth. I have my grandma after she died. She's on there, the whole 9 yards. But yeah, no, I feel that.
I asked my dad if he ever had a UFO experience because I was looking for some UFO experiences when I learned that it runs in the family. And I think we talked a little bit about my bloodline. I'm B negative, and I think you said you're AB negative.
AB
right?
negative. Yep.
That's what RH negative is. It took me so long to realize that is RH negative. That is a very rare, like 3% in the nation have this blood type. So I was on a mission to find out if my dad or my mom had these experiences. My dad denied any UFO experiences. And, I'm asking my mom, and she denied any UFO experiences, but I was strictly looking for those UFO experiences. She did not have a UFO experience, but she had a Jesus Christ experience. She had an experience where she was with a couple of friends up in the Hayward Hills, listening to some music, just kind of goofing off and dancing and stuff. And she said all of a sudden the music stopped, her friends froze in place, and all of a sudden we talked about Jesus came before her. He had a white robe on. She knew who this man was. For some reason, his face just was conveniently covered, but she knew who she was looking at. He had his sash, which I called a stash, last week. I think we were talking. He had a sash on and everything. And he communicated with her without moving his lips, which we all know is telepathic, which we all know is the universal. That's the language of the cosmos, basically. And she heard a voice in her head say, "Are you ready?" And my mom thought, "No, heck no, I'm not ready." And as soon as she thought that, the music kicked back on. Her friends continued to dance and stuff. And she said that she just never talked to anybody about that, except for me, because I had a pretty wild, amazing experience myself. So we had that commonality where she experienced, something biblical. I mean, we're talking Jesus Christ. And, it's just, my experience became kind of biblical too, in a sense. It's more than just a UFO. Why am I seeing, the wheel within the wheel? It became angelic, but that's what kind of happened with me. It led me down rabbit holes like we talked about. And I'd love to go down these rabbit holes. And the only reason why I went down all these rabbit holes, I don't know why experiencers all do this, but we end up going down these rabbit holes and we find out I was getting little pieces of truth that I felt like I needed. And once I accumulated enough pieces of truth, it felt like I was making these little awakenings. I don't think there's this one God Almighty awakening, like I'm already awoke. I've already been awakened. I'm done. Like, who would do that, right? You would just shut yourself off to more learnings and things like that and understandings. I believe that if you accumulate enough pieces of truth, you get a little piece of an awakening. And then you get another little piece of an awakening. There's little awakenings all over the place. And you just, some people spend too much time in those rabbit holes, and you could tell that it's unhealthy. And it's experiencers, a lot of us, we get involved in a lot of addictions, drinking, alcoholism, sometimes, unfortunately, even suicide, because you're forced to live a double life, so to speak, even with the people that, the closest that you're with, your loved ones. So that's why it hurt me so much when I told my wife. I was brave enough to finally tell her, look, I think it was more than a sighting, honey. I was taken. And it broke my heart. And instead of just moping around all day thinking, oh man, she ain't all on board like I am, I decided to pray. And it wasn't such a religious, like got on my hands and knees. It was something that I did with my crystals and my energy table. I got into these rabbit holes. I got into crystals, meditation, and your chakra system. Oh, yeah. And what I did was I just started like meditating and praying that I would have an experience with my wife, because I felt like it's something I'm so passionate about. Why wouldn't I want my wife to be on board with something that I'm so passionate about? I don't want to have to not talk about it with her. It's bad enough that, if I'm watching a UFO show and she walks into the room, I got to change the channel because she's just not into it. You know, she's just not into it. She's into the ghosts and, you know, she's into the cute witchy things and things like that. But the whole UFO thing, it just, you know, and she'll even tell you, sure, there's other life out there. You know, she just kind of plays it off like it ain't a big deal. So I prayed that we would have this experience. And, you know, I kind of forgot about it. And 2, maybe 3 weeks went by. And guess what? I mean, it happened. It happened. It was July 21st, 2022 in San Leandro, California. Me and my wife went outside our apartment and I seen this craft that was coming from the right side. It was much higher than the UFO that I seen in Hayward when I was 12. This craft was pretty high up there. And, you know, I didn't want to embarrass myself because I've done that before with Mylar balloons and drones. I've done that with drones, but especially those Mylar balloons, because if the sun hits them sometimes just right, it looks like they're flashing, you know, signals to you and stuff. But, you know, you give it give it a moment and I usually can figure it out, right? So I didn't want to embarrass myself in front of my wife by you know, going, holy cow, look, honey, a UFO. I think what I was seeing was very special. So what I did was I just kind of played it off. I'm all, hey, what kind of drone is that, you know? And she's quiet, just, you know, taking it in. And it's weird because this craft, it wasn't your typical saucer. I actually have a drawing of it that I'm going to share for you in a second.
Oh, awesome. I'd love to see this.
Yeah, I'm excited to show you. It's something that I recreated on PixArt. I love PixArt. So
that's awesome.
this thing was, I didn't know if it was flipping. I didn't know if it was rolling. I didn't know if it was rotating. There was a point, Coley, where I thought maybe it was even shape-shifting. It was hard for me to get a good eye on this craft that was coming overhead. So what I noticed most about this craft was there was a ring. There was a ring. That's all I could say was there was a ring. I couldn't tell you that there was a ring around another ring. It wasn't a wheel within a wheel or anything, but there was a ring that was rotating like this. And I was paying more attention to this ring, but later on talking to my wife, she helped me re-jog my memory. She was describing the craft that was within the ring. It was like a semi-shaped football craft or an egg-shaped metallic white craft that was in the center of this ring. But anyway, I see this ring as it's flipping, and as it gets not directly overhead, it's kind of a forward a ways and above. And, you know, the sun was going down, but it was still out. And the sun was reflecting off the beautiful white metallic ship. It was definitely like almost blinding at certain points. But I remember I have a guru friend of mine. Her name is Dr. Angel Thacker. And she was talking to me and telling me that maybe next time I have an experience that I should have more of a communication telepathically and ask what the message is. So for some reason, I was able to remember and retain that. And I remember thinking, what's the message in my mind? And as soon as I thought that, there was a beautiful, beautiful, brilliant white pattern of lights that illuminated inside the ring. Inside the ring, it was
that's awesome.
It was beautiful. It wasn't just this pattern of lights that it was, you know, rolling around with. It didn't have it until I thought to myself, what's the message? And it came from within inside the ring. It illuminated 4 dots of white, 4 white, beautiful dots, and then like another line, like a line. So it was dot, 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 line, dot, 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 line. And then one more time, it was dot, 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 line. And it was the most brilliant, beautiful, crisp, white, brilliant white that I've ever seen. And to me, it looked like Morse code.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
So I was thinking, maybe there's a message in there for me. So I thought maybe if I ran upstairs and looked on the internet real quick, that I would see it spell out, take me to your leader. I don't know.
If only it were that easy,
I'm
right?
just being silly, yeah.
No, yeah, I know what you're saying.
And
Definitely.
you can hear my, you know what? I pulled out my phone, but it wasn't to get like this tremendous UFO evidence. It was an afterthought. It was basically to get the license plate of that car that just hit me. It was to get a souvenir, so to speak. And
Right.
the video is after the ship has already passed me overhead, and it's already kind of on its way out the window, so to speak. And you can hear my wife in the video go, "Well, that ain't no drone." And this video, I think I've shared it before in my UFO group that I created, but it's not this groundbreaking evidence. And I knew that it wasn't going to be. It was just another light that someone say, "Look, this is a UFO." It's just another light in the sky that I'm sure everybody's like, I'm sure you believe what you think it is, but it's one of those. You have to be
But
there.
they never look like it. I'd be out there. I was for like 7 years, day in and day out. Every single time I knew exactly what street light was where. If there was like a blink in the sky that wasn't supposed to be there, I knew it. And I was like, I think I would see these phenomenal things. And then it's like, I think your camera's by design. And then it would be like this blinking light. And I was like, that wasn't it. That was not it. I'd go to replay it to my brother. He's like, "Don't be disappointed." And I was like, "No way." And it's just like, man, I even had one come down on the road. It intersected, beat us at our own game, and it shot off. And it still didn't capture. Like, pictures, I've got better pictures, way better pictures. But I'm like, man, I think by design. I don't know. I've seen them scramble stuff. I've seen them, so I don't know if it's our cameras that are doing it or if it's them doing it. No idea. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I hear you, though.
Exactly what.
Oh, man.
So I couldn't wait to go upstairs and start sketching what I seen and to share it with my UFO group, and also to look up what I thought looked a lot like I call it s'mores code sometimes. So if I do on accident,
I know,
I was
it's cool.
curious
Yeah.
to see what the Morse code for this design was, because I remember exactly what this design was showing me. And guess what? It was 444. It was an angelic number, the most powerful angel number out there. It was everything that I needed to hear when I read the spiritual meaning of it. And if you all, I'll read it to you. There's many different meanings, if you look it up, but basically it's about protection. That's the word that comes up a lot when you look up 444 is protection. I am protected, and the angels are strong in my family. So the spiritual meaning of the angel number 444 signifies protection, support, and stability, indicating that your angels are guiding you and encouraging you to build a strong foundation in your life. It serves as a reminder to trust your intuition and stay persistent in your endeavors. And that means so much to me, at different times in my life. And I always resort to 444. And I mean, I just recently got this 444 tattoo on me. I finally got a tattoo that means something to me. I was in the Navy getting, eagles and dragons and daggers. And, I finally, I love tattoos and stuff. And it's like, finally, I'm getting some that really means something to me. And, I'm a speaker as well. I spoke at UFO Con 2025 last year, and it was in Burlingame, California, right across the bay from me. And after I was done, I let off the whole series. And when I was done, some lady followed me out to my vendor table, and her name was Dev Rugney. She is the Northern California MUFON director, and she encouraged me to open up another MUFON case other than my 1985 experience, because there may have been other people in the area that experienced it as well. So that's what I did, Coley. I was like, okay, here I go. I'm opening up another MUFON case. And I was doing it in front of my wife, and I was kind of talking out loud on my phone as I was answering the questions um, on the whole MUFON website. And she started helping me. We talked about it when we had that experience, but it was only about 10 minutes, and I didn't want to push the topic with her all the time. I just thought it was nice that my prayer came true, and we had this experience together, and that was going to be cool enough. And I kind of left it alone. I didn't want to push her too much. I knew she wasn't going to become a ufologist. I knew that she wasn't going to join my UFO group, and that was okay. But as long as we at least had something that we could talk about that was on the table, and I didn't want to push it. But the day that she saw me making my report for my second MUFON case, she started talking out loud. I was talking out loud, and she was like, you know what? Get a pen, get a paper, let's go. And I grabbed I grabbed some toilet paper and a color crayon or something.
You're right.
I was just so excited.
And then the eyeliner and who knows, their old receipt. Yeah, right. That's awesome.
And I just started jotting down what she was telling me. And here's the picture that I promised to show you guys.
There's look at that.
She helped jog my memory about this football-shaped craft that was in the center. This craft that you see in the center that looks like an egg, so to speak, it was actually rolling from right to left. So now you can kind of understand why I was describing to you, like I didn't know what it was doing. All I remembered is the ring around it. That was definitely flipping. And this was one object, but they were not touching each other. They were independent from each other, yet they were together. The ring that I was witnessing, and I spent most of my time focusing on, that ring was, if you look closely, there's some of the white. I couldn't put the whole pattern of lights in there, but I was focused on that. Now my wife, she saw a couple of lights as well, but they were on the football-shaped egg craft like that. So yeah, I mean, I've got this football-shaped craft that's in the center that's rolling from right to left on top of the ring that's doing its own rotation. So there was no wonder why I had a hard time gauging if this thing was flipping, rolling, and rotating, because it was doing all of that. It was rolling, flipping, rotating. So, that was just.
Did it change what it looked like, or did it kind of start? Mine, the one I've seen before too. I've seen stuff like that have moved. One literally turned upside down and started twisting both ways, and it was shot up like a barbell. And I was like, "Where did you come from?" It's such a way I think that they keep themselves. But I have seen it's almost I don't know if it's a way to harness our energy or if it's a way to kind of keep the propulsion of how they're traveling, but I have seen and heard things similar to that. That's interesting.
This thing, after it flew overhead, it just kind of kept on pimping on down the road.
Yeah. No need to stop now. He's rolling on past. Yeah.
Yeah. And, to me, it didn't really have this spectacular movement, it didn't move near the speed of light, like the craft back in 85. As a matter of fact, it almost had the movement of a satellite. We all know what satellites look like and how they just kind of, nothing to it, right? That's kind of what
I used to think that I would see one and I'd be like, oh, this one's playing star. This one's playing star. But I'll guarantee you this one's not a star and it's going to be moving. This one's playing a little airplane over here. Maybe it was playing a little satellite, trying to blend in, but they can't.
Until it starts making erratic movements, because that's what we do, right? We just it's just a satellite. And then I'm thinking, it's just a satellite until that thing darts out of the sky,
Absolutely. Well, I think it's enough to maybe somebody who hasn't had their eyes to the sky, because ever since I came, I talked about it. I had an obsession with it. From the moment I had to know more, but I think it was a part of the awakening. It was a part of the triggering of whatever it was. It changed my entire life. my
Yeah,
entire
it's like
life.
a drug. It's like a drug. Not that I, was ever a drug addict or anything, but I like to use that analogy. It's like if I can just get one more hit, man, if
The
I can just,
adrenaline, that
oh man,
adrenaline rush. Yes.
yeah. And like, if I
Yes.
can just get one more experience from you guys, I'll be even more on board with what you want me to do. Even though
Oh, I know.
I feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm just the messenger, like you, right? We're the messenger. And if you look in Hebrew, the word messenger is angel. We are the angels. And, there's something that a friend posted today. It said, humans become angels on earth, not in heaven. It's just such a beautiful thing if you think about it, and there's so many
Yeah.
people on this planet that, it's not going to be some monk sitting on a mountain, with a hoodie somewhere. It's you. It's people that look like you. It's people that look like me. It's the experiencers. And I think disclosure is going to happen, and it's going to happen through us. It's got to happen more of a sea level, more of a ground level approach. We're not going to trust the government. All they want to do is hijack.
No.
Hijack.
I know, no way.
UFOs. They want you to start calling it USOs. They're already trying to hijack the whole thing.
UAP, USOs. Yeah, no, I'm not doing it.
I'm
Yeah.
old school. It's UFO. It's just
UFO.
like the stadiums, for the sports teams. Like we the 49ers over here in the Bay Area, they used to play in a place called Candlestick Park. And then they got to this position this point where they started calling it monster.com or packbell.com. And I was just like, no, These companies pay billions of dollars to have you call it that. I'm going to call it what it is, old school. It's Candlestick Park. Just like UFOs. It was a UFO, unidentified flying object. I don't care
You
about
must
your
be a fellow
UAP.
Generation Xer.
They're trying to hijack the whole thing. And
They are
erase
too.
history. Erase history at the same time.
Absolutely. It's somebody, I can't remember. I was not the first one to think of this idea, but it was great because somebody's like, oh, USO or UAP. They're like, oh yeah, those are the governments. Those belong to the government. It was somebody and I was like, oh, that's perfect. That is so perfect. I'm like, oh yeah. So you're talking about the government, portion of this. Okay. But yeah, I agree. I'm 1000% with you on that. I'm like, even if you want to look at it, the government, what are they going to do but tangle this? They're going to try. You can't tell me that something's out there. It holds air superiority over us, global air dominance. And they're just like, oh yeah, no, I think I saw something blue across the screen. I got this going, with the, you got the black aces, Top Gun, top pilots. They're like, oh no, it's like, I'm not buying this.
It's a hijack. They just want to hijack it. Anything good is hijacked. I mean, even, I believe religion might have started, in the past, when these beings were coming down visiting us. I don't think it all started in 1947. I think this is stuff that has been happening for a long time. And if you think about it, Coley, we line ourselves up with people that we respect all the time. I line myself up with people until they prove me wrong. That with people that I respect. Why wouldn't I line myself up with somebody that actually came down from the heavens in front of me? There's something that this person's got figured out, and I can see how that can kind of turn into a religion. They came down from the heavens. There's something about this person that they've got it all figured out. I want to line myself up with this person and their message that they're giving me. I can see how that they could turn into religion. And then eventually, at some point, like anything else that's good in this world, it gets hijacked. I mean, that's part of this deep down, these dark rabbit holes. And the messages that the experiencers are getting all the time is we're operating from greed. This is a consumer-based nation that operates from greed. Until we learn how to operate from love, we are not going to be sustainable. Every 100 years, womankind thinks that we're at the top of our game. It's this pattern of going up and down, up and down. And it's another misconception to think that anybody in the past is not more enlightened than what we are today. Like we think we're at the top of our game. And in actuality, we've been dumbed down. We've been poisoned. Back in the day, we were probably closer with these beings. You know what I mean? And
Oh
when I look at
yeah.
Pleiadians, like I have this special bond with Pleiadians. They're humanoid looking, and they're very muscular. They're described as healthy, beautiful, muscular, kind of like what we would probably look like if we weren't poisoned, disinformed. By the time we're 6 years old, we're indoctrinated into whatever the government wants us to think and feel. You know, they want us to think that we're only born with sight, sound, taste, and hearing. And if we have any other senses, they consider it extra, and they call it ESP. And, you know, we live our lives where they're telling us we're only using a certain percentage of our brain. And, you know, sticks and stones may break our bones, but names will never hurt us. Names will hurt us. Thought is powerful. That's what I've gathered, that thought is powerful. And then when you open your mouth and you start speaking, that's the word, that's sound, that's vibration, that's energy. That's very powerful. These are the things that I've learned. That's the messages that I'm getting from this whole thing. It's all about inside. It's a cerebral thing. The more you find out, the more questions that you have. And the more that I learn, the more that I learn to look within myself and to realize that there is something to our chakra system. There's something to our manifestation. There's something to thought and the words that we speak. The language that we're using is English, and we're going around putting curses on each other all
I
day.
know. Oh gosh, I
Even
know.
with simple words like good morning, you know, well, there's different definitions for morning. You know, there's morning, like morning with the sun, and then there's someone that died and you're mourning their loss. So, and if you look at like ancient languages like Hebrew, I love Hebrew. I love going back to Hebrew because that's a alpha numerical language. Each word only has a certain set of meanings, and it's much harder to trick the people. You know, like it is today. They can just completely fool us without us even realizing it, because our language, you know, each word has all these different meanings. So I feel like,
So true. So true. No, I got into I think I told you before, cryptology and steganography and everything. And we used to break it down into alphanumeric terms. And so it's like things, and you go back to the root words, and then you start to see how they've changed it and changed our definition. It's crazy. It really is. But you're right on. You're right on.
even with the natural 432 of meditating, you know, the whole sound of 432, it's a natural harmonic sound that comes out of, you know, music and things like that. And that was hijacked by the Rockefellers or the Rothschilds. You know, they changed it from 432 to 440, which doesn't seem like a lot if you don't know, you know, much about frequencies and vibrations and what it does to your body and your soul. But it's a lot. You go from a natural harmonic 432 to a more of a fear-based controlled 440. Now that is being shot out of radios. It's being shot out of the TV. And, you know, it's the subconscious that they're attacking. It's not just our pineal gland, from what I learned. It's an all-out battle against humanity, you know, and look at us. We're so strong. We're so beautiful. We're still here talking about these beautiful things that we're so passionate about, you know. Most people go their entire life without experiencing like a near-death experience or a UFO or a ghost. Most people go their whole life, right, without experiencing.
Yes.
And
I'm like, I don't know how they do it. Because I think we're so fortunate when you think about it,
so
because we
grateful.
know without a shadow of a doubt,
Yes.
this is, and
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
yes. And you said something before too that I thought that was really really profound on this. I mean, the whole thing. You know what? Keep going on. I'm going to grab you next time you say it, because I just like slipped my mind. But you hit on something that I was like, wow, this is so true, so true, so true.
Yeah,
and then I was holding it to tell you, and then I just went right out. But I will remember. Might be 3 in the morning when I do, but I will remember.
It's this whole emotional roller coaster that I've been through. You know, I've been through the whole it was just a sighting. Maybe it was more. Maybe I'm not special enough for that to be anything more than what it was. To, oh my God, it was an abduction. I have missing time. I was displaced. What an honor. What a privilege. How dare they take me? It's been an emotional roller coaster. I've been through the whole, did Eisenhower indeed have a deal made with these beings and made that deal where we get the advanced technology as long as they can continue to abduct us and study us and things like that. And, if that's the case, I want some money. Give me some money.
Yes.
I want some rent. You know what I mean?
Show me the money.
Count me in. If the government ever gets to that point where it's like, nah, dude, Eisenhower, that whatever, if that was a deal that was done, how dare you do that? But who knows the whole story? I don't. I'm not a know-it-all. No one likes a know-it-all. I like I said, I'm always afraid to etch things in stone. I like to keep an open mind. And, maybe I'm not going to figure all this out. Hi, Maya. She's a new friend of mine. That's cool.
Maya Starfire? Is she wonderful? Yeah, I absolutely love her. Yeah. She's going to be on Monday nights here. So
cool. I look forward to it. Yeah. I look forward to getting to know her better. But, it's just, I lost my train of thought. I hope you got your 3:00 thing.
Well, no, I did remember what I was saying.
Okay, go ahead.
The whole brew of like SNX comes from subnation, which is polymorph from subliminal dissemination, and X is who you're tracking. The 8 I put in there because I spell it SUBN8IONX is the 8 is bracketed ET, but it's also cryptic. So I'm like, just the little things that we don't even think that we see, they are there to manipulate and control us. Like that's when you see like flashing like the obey or something in the intro.
We're
Like just a split second.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We definitely.
But there was more connection to it, but that was the gist of it.
Yeah, it's in the movies. It's, they want us to be afraid of this stuff for some reason. And I'm not, you know what? I believe that there probably is different kinds of species out there, just like there's people on Earth that follow the law. There's people that break the law. I think that doesn't stop here. Even though you're advanced, I still think that there's people that cross the line and, they have bad agendas. And there's some that, want to help. There's some that are probably had a hand in our creation. There's some that are probably us in the future. We probably did something silly like clone the hell out of us until we can't. Until we lost something.
The things we're doing now, right?
And now they're coming back to. They came back to a point where we are at now, which is more of like a barbaric us, and maybe there's something that got cloned out of us, in the future at some point. And I don't know. And who are these archangels? They look humanoid. They look like Pleiadians to me. They look like someone like our higher self. Like if you're, I'm always striving for my higher self. But look, I talk a good talk. It's hard to walk it sometimes. We all kind of know what to do, but it's hard to actually implement that and walk it. And to me, the Pleiadians, it just stands out to me like that's our higher selves. That's our futuristic selves. That's our unpoisoned self. That's what we would look like in if we weren't lied to. It's like a human right. I feel like it's a human right that we should know. We should know where we are at. Mm-hmm. We should know if this planet is bigger than it is, then we should know. If the cosmos is described the way they describe it, we should know by now. Mm-hmm. Why is it this game? Because we're protecting the elite. We're protecting the people that are used to making money, from the way that they make it through oil and gas, and if you come up with running a vehicle on mineral oil, you'll disappear. That's taking money out of the way, it's just a dark place, that I found. It's really a dark world. It really is. And you just got to vibrate at a higher, just understand what's going on, but don't stay down there and vibrate at that frequency. Shoot up out of that rabbit hole and keep the frequency up and keep it high. It's just, I'm sorry. I feel like I'm
You
just
can
going
get
on.
stuck in all this. No, I do too. Because you know what? And it really irritates me more than anything is when somebody has the answers and they're like, "Oh, I can't tell them to you because I'm like privy to know." And I'm like, why does that asshole get my? Do feel like it's a birthright. I feel like there are answers that we should have.
Right.
There's without a shadow of a doubt. And there's nothing more annoying than some pukey government, like they're probably like more like an asset. They're not even smart enough to get paid to work for them, and they're the ones that are holding it. Like they get to know, but I don't.
Yeah.
That really does. It irks me too.
It's like I'm
I
a big
feel that.
fan of mysteries. I think there's a beauty to a mystery, and we may not. I remember what I was going to say. We may not figure all this out in this lifetime. It might take a few lifetimes. And like I said, there's a beauty to the mystery, and maybe I don't want to figure it all out, because that'll take the mystery out of it. It's just, like it's almost like getting to know somebody too much too fast, and there's nothing
Yes.
left to be desired.
Now you're bored. You're like, I know all there is to know. Yeah, there's no new
relationships.
scenes. Like
I want to take
they should be exciting, like changing, and but there are those people, and I know that depends on what you call them, like the non-players, like characters, or however, it's like I see those people that are the ones that drive around your block at 2:00 every day. It's just like there's some people that are so detached from all this. And I think you're gonna lose, and you can hear all you probably need to know in a course of a dinner. It's like, all right, well, nice to meet you, moving on. It's not going to satisfy your curiosity, not as an experiencer. Well,
Yeah, there's a battle out there, and it's not of flesh and blood. It's of principalities, and like they say, they're
spiritual battle. Yeah,
it's about the yin yang, and the demons, the dark, they need to be out there too, or else we wouldn't appreciate anything that's good. We have to experience these things, and sometimes that's why I feel like experiencers kind of come from a trauma-based upbringing. I've spent time in foster.
It's the only way in.
Yeah, my mom was a
the
bartender.
only way in through this.
Drugs,
Why?
alcohol. Yeah.
Every person that's been through this, it's trauma. They'll tell you it's through the trauma. In the same way, it's like you can go and you can work through it, but it's like I always feel like it's that duality, because then they take that, and there's certain people that they come here and groom for that trauma, and then they kind of infiltrate it. But no, if you got a handle on it, it is the way in. It really is. Right.
Yeah. It seems like, experiencers experience more than, ghosts and UFOs. They seem to have a lot on their plate. And, in my case, and a lot of other experiencers that I've talked to, a lot of close friends of mine have had trauma-based upbringings. And some people believe this whole thing is, from trauma-based, like the whole MK Ultra, your mind does things to protect yourself, and it cracks, and then you become different personalities and things like that.
I met those people, and we are not it. I know. No.
Yeah.
You got to jump over to the SSP for that. And they're like my alters, and I'm like, I worked as a mental health therapist for 7 years. Those are multiple personalities that you've developed to survive. You shouldn't know them. It doesn't make any sense. So yeah, I don't know what to think of them, but yeah, that's exactly it. That is exactly it right there.
Yeah.
It's hard because there's a certain percentage of this community that has some serious problems. Like I don't even know which way you look at it, but there are some ones. And that's true. It's like those are the people that you kind of expect. There's some schizophrenia running wild here. There's bipolar. There's obviously multiple personality disorder people that are here too. So it's like
I think a lot of it has to do with alcohol. I'm telling you, in my experience,
yes,
my whole family I lost them through alcohol. And
alcohol,
for me, it's the worst because, at this point, I feel like I'm a professional. If I'm on the phone with you, I could tell if you're drunk. You know what I mean? Like I could tell. It's the emotion.
Isn't it? It's a oh
argument.
gosh, you know
It's
what? My mom, she's still alive. I didn't lose her. I had to lose her, is what like more along the lines of it. But alcohol stepped in, and I'm telling you, that woman is not the same person. I couldn't understand. It was such a mind bender. It was such an emotional, and I thought, I got it. This is it. Every which way she tried to destroy me for whatever her own reasons are. That's where I have a problem too. When alcohol comes in like that, I'm just like, if they've got a problem, I'm like, I don't even stay
it's
like
not
3
cute
miles
anymore.
back. No, it's
Yeah,
not. It's not
it's
cute
not.
anymore.
And it's the most accepted. Like they show people winning a Super Bowl and drinking a beer, like or climbing a mountain and getting to the top and celebrating with a beer.
Yeah.
Oh boy, that drains your spirit. All right, it is, and I'm not a hater of alcohol. Like every once in a while, occasionally, I'll have a good dark beer or something. Enjoy a good beer, but I'm not. I'm proud to say that I've actually broke that chain, and I'm proud that my boys, my grown men, my babies are
Mhm.
not alcoholics and things like that. Because don't get me wrong, I love my mom so much. When she was sober, she was the best friend I ever had. And I feel like I throw her under the bus a lot when I do these shows, but I'm just want the everyone to understand where I came from. That's all. And I spent a lot of time in the bars before the kids were not even like I was ducking pool sticks, you know.
Yeah.
My mom would leave me in the car for hours and crack the window, like a dog, so I could breathe. I remember, some of the people coming out and giving me a bag of, sour cream and onion chips. And I don't want people to feel sorry for me, that I was in a foster home. I got the, crap beat out of me before. And I really don't want people to feel sorry for me. I felt like I had a good childhood, we lived with whoever would take us in, and I was always the new kid somewhere at some new school somewhere. And to me, it was fun. It was kind of good with the girls. I got a lot of girlfriends out of being the new kid, So don't feel sorry for me. I had a great time. It was only until I got older that I realized that it wasn't such a good thing. A lot of these things that happened to me, but I really feel like that's what built my character. That's what made me who I am. That's probably why I got a really good sense of humor, I feel like. And I thought I was supposed to be a comedian, but now I know that that's not what I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be telling messages like this to people like you. It's real. The phenomenon's real, and it's
I was
all
told I was here for communication. I think I'm a comedian too. No, not even though I might laugh the loudest at my own jokes, but that's exactly why I'm here. So I could not. I kept pondering on this I'm like, what does it mean? I'm here for communication. I was like, if I just get this communication to the right person, I can get an exit out of this and go back to my normal life. No, that's not what happens. That's not what happens. But then, looking at it now, I'm like, there's nothing that I would change about this other than some of the crazy trolls that come with it. I mean, or the hate bashing that comes with it, but it's all a part of it. I
yeah,
always try and tell myself, this is their programming. This
right.
is their problem.
Yeah,
Let them have
it's
them.
hard
Let them
though. Yeah,
keep them. Yes.
I like to say it doesn't bother me, but it
Oh, it
does. Like
does.
every once in a while,
Yeah.
I get these flashbacks. Like, am I back in junior high again?
I
You know,
know. I know.
grown
I
as
know.
adult.
I know.
Sometimes.
They're like,
And
I know, you gotta pull my hair next,
yeah, and
I've had some
something you're
really bad
so
ones.
passionate about. Like we're so passionate about this subject. I couldn't wait to go out there and join the biggest UFO group that I could find. And it's and then come to find out, in a subject that we're so passionate about, it's tainted as well, just like anything else. There's weirdos, there's
Yes.
alcoholics, there's people
There's
that want to.
egos.
Yeah,
Yes.
it feels like a cult. Like, are you running a cult? Are you
Mhm.
running a date show?
You have to think my way or I'm
the highway,
offended
yeah.
and
It's
oh,
like,
yeah,
is this a
yeah.
UFO group for helping people, or is it a dating show for you? You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I
yeah, that too.
I'm not in it for that. I'm not in it for that. I'm in it for something else. There's something so divine about this. why do I want to argue and talk to an alcoholic or or submit to your cultish ways? Like, I couldn't believe that UFO world was full of this crap.
Oh,
It
yes,
is.
they're full of it. They are
So,
full of it. I've had so many. I mean, I literally Spiritual Sunshine won't pick on you. She is a strong. She comes in with a bang, and I love that girl to death. But we had somebody on, and they're like, "You have to think ET's like basically, they didn't say it like that, but if you said ET could be negative in any way, they were offended, like so offended, and I should do. And I was like, sent me the scathing email about it, and I was like, "You're never they will never come back on my show." Never. I said, I will never tell somebody how to think or feel about their experiences. Those are
yeah.
theirs.
Who do
Those
we
are
think we are?
theirs.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
There's
This
no
is all
way
so
that
subjective.
anybody. I even have a problem when they say, "Oh, this person's an expert in UFOs." Like, I get what they're saying. Like, I get it, but you can't say that. You really can't.
I
They're
have it on
much,
my intro. We talk to the leading experts and I say it, and then I'm like, I want to change it. I'm like, what do I call them? Because it's like you're right though. What you're saying is so much truth to
I
it.
get it though. What else are you going to say? But if you
I
really
always
think
think the
about it,
mainstream will hear it and they'll maybe like, and then everybody else will just be like, because I've said it, you've said it, there's a lot of people say it, and it's true. We're figuring this out. This is
yeah,
like
there's people
we're
that I
going where no
surely,
man has gone before.
yeah, there's people that I surely trust, that been in the game for a long time, and unfortunately, a lot of them are gone now. But we still have a lot of good people, like Preston Dennett. He's out there writing all these books. I think he's a really nice guy.
He's a
I got to personally know Earl Grey a little bit, the late Earl
Earl's
Grey.
great.
He's
Earl's
such a
great.
beautiful.
Yeah.
He's the one that I called when I decided to reopen my case because if I could talk about it real quick, originally when I finally was brave enough to report my first case to MUFON, it was MUFON Case 78946, I believe. It was 78946, and that report consisted of me talking strictly about the UFO. I did not talk about the vortex in the clouds because I thought that MUFON would think I was crazy, and I thought that it discredited my UFO story. So when I finally got brave enough, I reported it to MUFON, and guess who I was talking to? It was Earl Grey from down south,
Oh,
and he reopened my case, and he's the one that made it 12240. And I was able to tell him all the juicy little parts that I shared with you and your viewers tonight about the screen memories. These beings can appear to you in any way or form that they want to get their job done. They're task driven, whatever it is. They didn't want to scare the bejesus out of me, so they appeared to be a 4-foot waitress. I had an experience, and I go, now, Michael, why do you think that waitress appeared to you as 4 foot tall? And Coley, my whole body lit up in goosebumps. And usually that is telling me that it's screaming the truth. And I had never thought about that waitress in a way like that. And that's when I realized, oh my God, I blacked out that night. They took me that night, and they probably took me nights earlier, when I was younger. That's usually when they do most of their business is when and they tend to kind of lay off as you get older, except for when I decided I wanted another one in front of my wife, and they listened, so they're listening. And if
Yeah, they do.
I feel like, you don't have to be a UFO experiencer to have, special powers or anything, because there is things that I was doing. I was remote viewing. I was astral projecting. I was doing a lot of things by accident. And at first I chalked it up to, maybe it's because I'm a UFO experiencer and I'm special. And it's like, no, maybe we're all special. Maybe we all have these abilities, but it's a matter of use it or lose it. If you're told that you don't have it, you're not going to.
I don't know. What about all those people that can't see spirits, and they're the ones that, they're the ones that go out for dinner, and then it's like, there's no more curiosity there. There's curiosity like nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think they want you to think that you're not special, but in all the research and everything that I've done, it all comes back to they are looking for us. They're looking for us by our blood types. They're looking for us by our characteristics. They're looking for us like through the gifted and talented terms, or however that's how I got looped in when I was a kid at 4. So it's like they're looking for something, and we all hold these characteristics. That's the part of it that I get confused on.
Yeah, I don't know. Or they're just checking in on us, or, like reopening our aurora, refreshing it, preparing us for future events, like what I believe, the Great Awakening, which is a time the Aquarius, the great, this is the time. I believe, I really feel like this is a special moment in history. And who knows, maybe we're going to see something in our lifetime. Maybe it's going to take a few of them. But I think this is the
We got to
beginning.
come back, Michael. We got to come back. Is that
If
what you're
that's
telling
the
me?
case, which I believe, then so be it. Yeah,
Oh,
I'm down.
yeah.
I'm
Brace
down. Yeah, I'll keep
yourselves.
coming back, man.
No, just humor me on this one. This one is I think even scarier. And maybe
Okay.
I've said this to you before, but what if you like all of a sudden you're waking up and you're like, "Oh, congratulations, you've just completed your simulation on planet Earth." Like, ooh, I said that will be when I'm gonna go. That's when I'm gonna start looking for people at that point.
I would expect more from that, more than that.
Right.
I would be disappointed if there was just, some robotic voice like that.
Yeah. You wake up
Congratulations,
like
you
20
have,
years
yeah.
before. But
You
then
quit,
too, what are your thoughts on this? Now, Daryl Sims will say, like, and he got me thinking. He's like, so especially with this whole thing with like the fluorescent. I said there was a connection there. And
Mm,
he's actually analyzing a lot of my case, but he's like, no, he's like, they took and they're taking these people, and he said they're not misplacing them or he said that they've got an average IQ of 80, are losing them, and they are doing it like, and I don't know if but he had a child who was taken. And it really it destroyed the child, is from the talks of what he's saying. And there's those parts of it. I've never experienced the negative part, but then he'll say, well, do you think that maybe if they're doing this, the least resistance, least type of resistance, I always go to, I think there's the government, and then I think there's the real deal, our
me
family.
too. Yep.
Those are
It's
the two
either or,
avenues
that's
I
interesting.
go to
Mhm.
typically.
Yeah. I think there's either the back engineered human darker aspects, and which I believe there are, I believe that there's some back engineered and they're playing these games, and I think there's the real deal as well.
Hmm.
And I
Me
would
too.
like, people believe, they end up believing what we want to believe. And, I can get regressed hypnotically tomorrow and have a show with you next week. And I might have a whole nother view of it. And it might have a little bit more fear involved. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't sense any of that, because all I'm getting is good out of it. Or is it just by nature that I'm trying to make the best out of the situation? Maybe there was nothing special about it. Maybe there's a lot more people that were taken than they believe, which I do believe, because I think us humans, we chalk it up. We like to chalk stuff up to things, And if you understood how easy it was for them to take you, if you understood that, you
Yeah.
might think differently about, you or somebody that being taken,
Okay, so what are the chances of your blood type then? Like having that, me having my blood, that we share these same characteristics that not the rest of the world have. I almost feel like sometimes the sabotage and the people that they, put into your lives to derail it is
Yeah, the
all a part
handlers.
of
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
The questioning, because I think our superpowers, I don't know if you've learned some or not, like I can show you a couple, like, with energy, especially, and
yeah,
manipulating energy, and
right,
cloud popping, like the whole 9 yards. There's
right.
certain things that you're going to be able to do, and it doesn't, I've tried, like, and I've gone down this avenue too. I'm like, there's so many people, but the more and more and more and more, and the further I get into this, the less and less people I find are being credible, are being not, excuse me, are even telling the truth for that matter, or haven't just like completely gone like AWOL and are completely making like new chapters up every single day. It's that crazy.
I think that there's some experiencers that actually truly had an amazing experience, but they're opened up so much to everything that they just get poisoned and tainted and they fall for everything and it just becomes unhealthy. And, whether it be alcohol or drugs or whatever, it's just, it's too much. And, it's unhealthy for you to
Yeah.
think everything in the sky is something or, it's,
God, that would be
gotta have
so, what a
healthy dose
long,
of
boring
skepticism.
day.
Really
Yeah.
do, you know?
You know what though? You're looking, because I think a part of you, like you said, you're like, oh, just one more time. Like once I was so close and in such close proximity, and I was scared to death, and I made it through. And it was like after that, it just took that time, and I was excited. I was like so excited. I'm like, do you think I'll see another one? Like, and it was just like I lived like right on that edge. Like, oh my gosh, I just want to see it. Because what would that mean? Like, but it was time when it was time for me to like in my communication journey or whatever mission, whatever you want to call it, some of that did taper off. And because I had to leave from outside between those hours because I was out there every single night for years. I mean, years. It was crazy.
Yeah.
But it was a way that I felt so connected with them.
Hmm. Yeah. Sometimes we're out there trying our best and we don't get nothing. And then before you know it, it just happens. So yeah, I don't know what to think. Sometimes I pray out to them and I beg for I want to see their beautiful ships. And, there's one time where I closed my eyes and I took a picture and I go, I just want to see, I want to see your beautiful ships one more time. And I closed my eyes, I took a picture and I swear it looks like there's a ship hiding in the cloud, but I'm afraid to be 100% with that and run with it 100%. It's just something that I like to share if I have some fun time near the end of a speech or something like that. Like if I have tons of pictures of the sky. My nickname is Skywalker, and it's more than because I'm a Star Wars fan. My head is always in the clouds. And that's where it belongs.
Oh, Benno was calling you that in chat. I didn't know, because Benno sometimes makes up. Yeah, he sometimes makes up names for people, like James Gillian. He calls him Mr. Lion. So I didn't know that was actually your nick. Okay, that makes sense. I thought Benno was just
always
okay.
watching the sky. I'm always watching it. I get the white orbs. I even have pictures of a black orb, and once you start communicating with other fellow experiencers, you become more powerful. Like you and I together talking, this is powerful, and I have a few good, really good Marisol Smiley. I've got a lot of different friends. When we start talking, magic happens. We are so powerful, and it kind of gives you a glimpse of what we can all do once we reach this certain level of consciousness. Once we all get to a certain level, maybe it's a commonality that we need to find. To me, I think it's the children. It's the missing children. It's once we find these children, it's going to put a lot of us together, and we're going to forget about the dualities that we face every day with politics. Oh God, that's the worst one. If you want to make me throw up in my mouth a little bit, start talking about politics. It's not just politics though. It's sports. It's everything. There's a lot of different awakenings that I feel like I've gone through. You've got the diet, you've got sports, you've got politics. It just goes on and on and on. And I'm far from perfect. I've got plenty to work on. Trust me.
We're human.
I'm human. That's why I'm still here. But then again, maybe we're not human. Maybe, you look at our bloodline and we're just, lost.
I think that we're having this human experience is what I put it. Right. And I just am here having the full thing. Okay. I'm like, any way you look at it, I'm like, oh yeah. Do we make bad choice? Of course we do. Like this is our human experience, and I want to experience it all. I don't know. It's just, you can't. It's so crazy because you look at all this stuff and everybody's like, money, money, money. But I'm like, you die, and that money, and your
Yeah.
clothes and all that nice
Take
furniture.
yeah.
Yeah, there it's gone. It's gone. It's probably gonna go to like Goodwill or
Yeah.
who God knows where out on the your family said, oh, they're gonna nope, it's gone. It's
Yeah.
gone, girl. Like
And
you can't keep that stuff here,
right. And I feel once you get to that other side, I feel like it's like instantaneous. It's like, boom, you knew it. I feel like it's a moment of I knew it, and oh, let me do it again. I'll do it right this time, I promise. And then whoop, you forget again.
Oh, don't go to the light. Like everybody's saying, go to. I was like, I'm gonna take my time on this one. I don't know, because that will shoot you right back out here, I think. But it's so much of it is so true. Like in getting caught up into all of it, and I guess Carl Jung and people I've talked to too that have had like near death experiences talk about how uncomfortable it was being stripped of our human like characteristics,
Right.
and
Yeah.
being stripped of all this like what we think matters around us, like oh, who's got the coolest this or that or the best house or the best car, and it's like, yeah, and then what are you really remembered for? Like, what did you really do while you were here? You went
Yeah.
and you punched a clock and you bought a car. Like,
Yeah. We're not
yeah,
here
that's
very
great.
long. We're really
No,
not.
we're not.
And in my experience, you're 40 or 50 before you even kind of halfway might have it figured out what you want to do.
See, we're
We're
there.
just kids. I'm just a
We're there.
kid, right? They say
Right.
you're once a man, twice a child. It's I'm a kid. I feel like I'm that same kid.
You
That same
have to
curious kid.
be. You have to be. When I was a therapist, they like it was huge. It was huge for people to be able to even play, but to have that curiosity, to have that fun. Jesse Marcel III, he came in contact, or his great grandpa did, and his dad did, with alien technology, and he keeps stuff like around him. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I roller skate. You should see my collection of roller skates. I always keep this stuff around because that childlike state, that is where the happiness and the joy
Right.
and everything takes place.
Yeah, we have to retain that childlike wonderment. That has a
Mhm.
lot to do with it. You got to bring that along. I really feel that.
Oh, yeah. I really do too. I really do. And so do you have, like, pictures and stuff? Because I was gonna say you should come back on and we could do some show and tell. I got some good ones
Oh, we,
too.
we can have a fun show and
Yeah.
tell picture. I've got so many pictures. I'm a cloud lover
Oh,
too.
me too.
So,
That's how I got
I
all interested in
see
this. Yeah, I've
angels.
got clouds galore.
I've got
Yeah.
angels, cartoon characters. You know, it's it's just amazing. It's it's something that I enjoy that a lot. That sounds like fun. That really does.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Well, let's do it. And I want to thank you so much for coming on tonight. It's absolutely a pleasure every time I get to chit chat with you. And after the show, I'll go ahead and I'll contact you, and I'll definitely rebook you for a part 2, and we're gonna have
Okay.
some show and tell time. So that and I'd
Yeah.
love to put you in context with some of my groups and people that don't act in crazy ways. So like there's a lot of people. Maya, she's she's gonna be here. This is the solid this chat. Like these people are excellent. I encourage you, if you're
Yeah.
like wanting to set like definitely get yourself around good people, because it makes
Yeah,
all
I
the
like
difference
the
in the world.
support that, I'm trying to multitask a little bit. And I mean, there's people thanking me. I'm catching little things here. It's such a good quality crowd. And you got a really good quality show here. And I appreciate your friendship, Coley.
Oh
Thank you
no,
for
I
having me.
appreciate yours too. Yeah, and I got your back. Like I said, there's not everybody is so it's not like I wanted to be around the people that weren't going to talk about if they're going to say something, just say it to me. Like, don't go behind my back and start creating all these rumors and all this other stuff. Like, it's so unnecessary. To start to trust people, it's hard after everything that you've been through and after everything you've incurred through this. It's really, really hard to know who you can trust and who you can't. It's like
Yeah.
there's so many times where I've been like, oh, I looked up to people. I looked up to these people, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I came in, and I was like into this community, and I was like, hey, I'm one subscriber over here, like, nobody would even answer me, like, and so I was like, okay, so I got to build some subscribers here to get some answers, and that's how the journey started. Because I was like, I just wanted to talk, I just wanted to know what was happening. Like I
Yeah.
had no explanation. I didn't know. I'm watching YouTube videos and I'm like, what's this? What's that? And learning how to say. I mean, it's been a wild ride, but I'm glad that that discernment has kind of entered, and I've gotten a chance to being on this end of it to ask the questions to see over and over again the patterns, like who's being honest and legit here and who's now just taking it and running with it. So it's huge because I don't know, for whatever reason, one person is not going you're not going to walk away with a flag of UFO disclosure. It's going to be the many, and it's going to be all of us getting on that same page and moving forward. We don't need the government. Like everybody's like,
Yeah,
"Oh, are you
right.
watching the hearing?" No, I've seen it
No, no,
300 times. It's the
right,
same crap. It's not going to happen. It will
right.
never happen this way.
It's got to be homegrown. It really does. It's
Absolutely.
us. We're doing it now. We're doing it. It's not this.
Absolutely.
It's not this one. Hey,
Disclosure
everybody, tune
now.
into my big disclosure next week at 5
Yeah.
o'clock. It's not. It's not going to happen like that.
No.
The UFO experience doesn't happen like people think, and disclosure is not going to happen like people think either. But
You know,
we're
that's a
doing
good
it.
point though, Michael. Maybe next show, and I've never really done this and gone down this road, to talk about all the aspects of what it is like to be taken. There is a whole back end. I mean, the feeling sick, feeling, isolating yourself. There's a whole back
Yeah.
end when you're kind of and you're ready to talk about it. You've organized those thoughts, but there's days in there that are not very pleasurable.
Yeah,
It's a
that's
lot
true
of
too.
growing, a lot of healing. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, yeah, well, I think that would be a fascinating. If you want to go there, I'll go there.
Of course, yeah. I mean, and I still didn't even get the chance to describe, a lot of the details of inside this ship. So,
I would
kind
love
of
to hear
leaves
that too. Yeah.
some stuff to be desired here a little bit.
Well, you
Yeah,
know what? Well, we'll have to get you on very soon then for a part 2, and get it back. So I absolutely just have appreciated so much of tonight, and I can't thank you enough. In closing, I always give people the opportunity. What would you like to leave the audience with?
that we are much more powerful than we have been led to believe, and it's the powers that we are powerful. Like I was thrown into this psychic detective work, where I was going online and we would find these targets, and you would be surprised how well that you can do if you just tell yourself that you can do it. Trust your gut, trust your instinct. We are so powerful. There's an all-out attack on us, and it's not one thing in particular. It's an accumulation of a lot of different things, and we're so powerful, like I said earlier, that we're still here talking about such beautiful, such passionate topics like this. We're still here talking about it. You did not win. We won. And, disclosure is going to be through us, not some television program, some government, Congress hall.
Yeah.
It's happening every day. And it's not one particular day or one particular moment. It's going to be accumulation of a lot of it, before that counterweight finally goes boom. And from there, I don't know if, heaven on earth, it's just a matter of tuning in.
Tuning in. That's right. That's right. Well, again, thank you so much, Michael. And we're going to have you
Okay.
on very soon. So in the next week or so, I'm definitely bringing you back on, and we're going to go down that rabbit hole we just talked about. So I appreciate you. And like I said, I'll touch base with you after the show and kind of let you know
Okay.
what's going on. So yeah, we love you here, and yeah, welcome to the family. Welcome to the family.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. I actually loved Michael, and I appreciate all the mods in the chats tonight. There's no way that a guest is going to come on here like this and anybody start to play those games. I mean, he had every single right to be here and to give his testimony to it. So I appreciate every single one of you, and then showing him support like that is absolutely what we do, and that's why we are who we are. So you guys are absolutely brilliant and amazing, and like I tell you every time, without you, there would be nothing. And I really wanted to thank Benno for the super chats. That was absolutely awesome. Ben from Oz, Bob Thorson, new member, and welcome. And then we got Castro without an R. He's official. So welcome. And Kurt W75, thank you so much too. it means the world, and it helps us to keep going and getting this mission out here. And so thank you guys. Love it and love you. So yeah, and then big announcement, I guess, if you didn't hear before, Maya's going to be on Monday. Maya Mondays. I saw Essay write that in the chat. I thought that was cool. And she's going to be focusing on a lot of the chat and, asking questions to herself. But I feel like it's, just so all of the questions are getting answered, because that's important to me, and that they're getting answered correctly and your questions are getting asked correctly. I mean, a lot of times I'm back here, I'm like doing this, I'm doing that, I'm multitasking it, and it's, it will help. It will help. And Kurt W75 is going to be doing shows more on Friday, I believe. We're still getting that worked out, but you guys, is he not excellent? Kurt, I'm telling you, I think the chat will agree. You're excellent up here. So definitely, I'd love to see more of that, and we'll get it taken care of. So just stuff to be looking forward to. So we're making changes, and we're making changes hopefully in the right direction. If not, we'll continue to do so and try and get them right. But again, thank you guys so much. You have no idea. Some days I'm like, wow, this is like, but then I'm here, and it's just that support, and giving that support to one another is so important. And keeping, especially right now, our brothers and sisters down in Australia, let's keep an eye on them. And you guys are in my thoughts and prayers every day. So at any time, anybody reach out, But I will be seeing you again tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. And until then, thank you for taking the journey into the unknown. I'm Coley with SNX Radio, and it's been my pleasure. And on that note, well, every once in a while, StreamYard, I swear, it can hear. Oh, I think I got it.
Unraveling the mystery, secrets in the night. We travel through the cosmos, ready for the flight. Together we'll shine, casting shadows aside, in the heart of the rhythm where our dreams collide.
Join the Sub-Nation X quest, the truth is our guide. In the vast expanse, it's where we reside. Hands up to the sky, let the bass ignite. Feel the groove surround us, everything's alright.
On the Sub-Nation X quest, the truth is our guide. In the vast expanse, it's where we reside. Hands up to the sky, let the bass ignite. Feel the groove surround us, everything's alright. SNX Radio, let the truth ignite. Together we'll shine, bringing shadows to light. In this cosmic dance, we're connecting the dots.
Tune into the frequency, let's explore the spots. Heavy bass drops with tight beats.
Illuminate the shadows, the echo of our call.
On this roller ring will never fall.
Feel the energy rising, can you sense the spark? As we dive deeper into the cosmic arc.
Stories of the universe, mysteries unfold. In the heart of SNX, where the truth is gold. Every note we play, every line we write, crafting our legacy, shining ever bright.
SNX Radio, let the truth ignite. Together we'll shine, bringing shadows to light. In this cosmic dance, we're connecting the dots.
Tune into the frequency, let's explore the spots. Here in the spotlight, we're taking our turn. With the fire in our hearts, let the passion burn. SNX Radio's call, ringing through the air. Together we rise, together we dare.
So join us now, let the rhythm flow. With SNX Radio, we're ready to go. Unraveling the mystery side by side, we stand hand in hand.